everyone, Denise here. Today I'm going to show you how to make this gorgeous shawl. I have made many of these and I'm going to insert some video of the ones that I have made and have started. This one that you're looking at is Premier, the new Premier Gradient yarn. This is their color green tones. The stitch marker that you see right there, that is where I attached the second cake, so that you have some idea that that up is one cake. So it's already pretty sizable with one cake. I'm going to finish it with 2 cakes. I have the edging left to do on this. I have missing video. So video that I used to show the intro of my tutorial is missing now. So I will insert the specs for the yarn and whatnot in the beginning with a different color. This is green tones though, and this is the color the tutorial will be in, because I already have that shot. I don't want to reshoot it again. And then I'm going to show you the edging in this green as well. So the edging is very simple, and you can add beads or not add beads, it's your call. I recommend not carrying the beads your entire project. Cut your yarn when you're ready to do your edging, and then add beads to your yarn. It just makes it way easier than carrying it the whole project. So, end on a row 5, I'll tell you that right now. So when you're getting in the pattern and you want to do the edging, end on a row 5. If you don't care about the edging, that's cool. But if you want to do the edging, row 5 is the best row to do it on. I'll show you in my samples that I'm going to insert next up, because I show you with and without, and then I talk about the edgings that I did do. So I will pop those in, and then I will be back to tell you the specs of the Premier Gradient yarn. This is the black shawl that I made. This is out of Caron Simply Soft Party. Color is Black Sparkle. You can see I've had this for quite a while. It's a medium weight 4. It's 99% acrylic, 1% metallic. They still sell this. I know, I've seen it on Joann.com, and you can get that there. There is 3 ounces, 85 grams, approximately 164 yards, 150 meters. I used, I think, almost 5 on this. So I believe that I used almost 5. I did not keep all the bands. I had to search for this one just so that you could see it. So it is Party, it is Black Sparkle. I'm going to add eventually these beads. They are on a chain, and you can purchase these at, I think it was Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I got it. You can take this off pretty easily. If you don't have jewelry pliers, you can use needle nose pliers. I think they sell them at Dollar Tree. They probably sell jewelry pliers at Dollar Tree too. I haven't looked for that. I should look for that. Anyway, I'm going to attach them just to an edge. I ran out of the yarn. I didn't have enough to do another row, so I ended on a row 4. Row 5 is the best row for an edging. So had I pulled out my row 6, I probably could have done an edging on this, but I'm okay with just attaching the beads, you know, wherever on the shawl. So it's not a big deal to me. I'm okay with it. So, so I'm gonna show you the next one I finished. This is the shawl that I made with Big Twist Rave. I used 2 cakes of the Big Twist Rave. These are 312 yards, 5.3 ounces, 285 meters, 100 grams. It says it's a premium acrylic. I did a review on this yarn, so I'll try to remember to link that below. It's medium weight it is a roving type style yarn. Just so you know, the colors are a great transition, but it is a roving type yarn. I believe I used a larger hook, definitely, than a 4.5. I usually have been going larger hooks on these just because I like it more for the drapey effect. Color is unicorn. So if you're interested in purchasing some of this, it is available at Joann, online or in stores. You can see the fuzz on this one. So this one was machine washed. It says on here you could machine wash it. I did it on cold. I did it on gentle cycle also in my machine. It says lay flat to dry. So that is the Big Twist Unicorn version. The edging I did on this one was in each chain 2 space of row 5. I did the entire row the same as row 5, except I put it in here. I put it in each chain 2 space. So I did single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and went on to the next chain 2 space and did that. I'm not adding beads to this one, but I do think that's a nice option for an edging. If you don't want beads and you want something more simple, I think that's nice. All right, I'll show you the next one. All right, this is the Premier Anti-Pilling Everyday Medley. This is a discontinued yarn from Premier. 219 yards, 200 meters, 3.5 ounces, 100 grams. It is 100% anti-pilling acrylic. It is a worsted weight 4 as well. Color is Berry Marble. I used several on this. I will have to weigh this and tell you. Measurements on this one is 38 by 70. Very beautiful shawl. I did the edging different. This is the edging that I like the best. And I'll probably show this one in the video to you so that you can see it worked up. I like it because it's not too much and it's not boring in my opinion. I just think it adds a beautiful touch. I will be showing you adding a bead, you know, in the center right here. Add a bead right here. But it's your choice what kind of edging you want to do, if any. I'm gonna weigh this and tell you how many of the balls of yarn that I did use on this so that you have an idea. And I have taken a picture of each one of these far away so that you can see what they look like. They don't fit on my kitchen table, but I did fold one side over so that it would fit for the picture. So anyway, I'm gonna show you some of the partial shawls that I have made thus far. So for the Berry Medley shawl, I used almost 5 skeins of the Berry Medley. This is one that I just started with Landscapes Renewed. This is a yarn that I looked at on the channel as well. This is really soft and great to work with. So this one is 5.3 ounces, 150 grams, 232 yards, 212 meters, 75% polyester, 25% recycled polyester. It's a medium weight 4. It's also on the heavier side of a 4. Machine wash, gentle, tumble, dry, low. I only have part of it done. I wanted to see the effect that the yarn gave. Working it up. Great color transitions. I like it a lot. This is some Temu yarn. I am going to be reviewing I'm not going to give the specs right now. This video is an upcoming video, but liking the color transition a lot on this one, working out beautifully. So we'll just leave it at that. This is a Temu yarn. This one is Big Twist Prism. This is a review coming up on the channel as well. This is 100% acrylic, 273 yards, 7 ounces, 250 meters, 200 grams. This color is Cotton Candy Quartz. This is a medium weight 4, also on the heavier side of a 4. I'm also using a 6.5 crochet hook on this one. So this is one of the ones that I actually used the size to the hook because I wanted to know how the yarn behaved. This one, like I said, will be a review soon on the channel. So I don't have this one finished as of yet, but it's working out very nicely. Color transitions are beautiful. And last that I can find anyway, is another Temu yarn that I'm not going to give the specs for or anything right now. I'm going to be reviewing this. So pink is the part that I have done thus far, but it does switch into a beautiful transition there. So again, Temu yarn, will be reviewing it soon on the channel. Just wanted to show you what I had worked up thus far. This is Black Tones. Premier Anti-Paling Everyday Worsted Gradient Yarn, 360 yards, 330 meters, 7 ounces, 200 grams. It's a medium weight 4, and it calls for an eye hook, and it is super duper soft. If you've ever used anti-pilling from Premier, you know, it's some of the best of the best. Let me grab my pattern and we'll get started. Using my eye Ophire 5.5 millimeter and my Premier Anti-Pilling Everyday Worsted Gradient Yarn, which is my new absolute favorite yarn. I'm going to snip the center pole off of it. They all come with a center pole. Thank you, Premier, for that. Okay. So, I don't know. I guess I'll scoot you to the left. Now, there's a few different ways you can start this shawl. So if you don't like the magic circle, you can start a different way. Start with a slip knot. Then you would chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then in the first chain here, you would put 7 double crochets. So right here in the first chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, we're going to count that first chain 3 that you had here as a double crochet, and then you have 8 in total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you would divide up, find your very center right here between all your double crochets. You got 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. Right here you'd put a stitch marker. That's going to be the center of your shawl. But there's also another way you can do it. So if you don't like magic circle and you don't like that method, you can start with a slip knot. And then loosely chain 3, or normally chain 4. 3 sometimes gets me there. I don't think 3 is enough, so starting with your slip knot, chain 4, Then go to your first chain and slip stitch to make a ring. And then you can start working in that ring. You would start with a chain 3 and put 7 double crochets in your ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So with this method, you have a little bit of a chain up here. If you have carried your tail, you might be able to pull on that and get rid of some of it. That's not my favorite way to do, but you can do that if that makes you more comfortable. And then you would divide your stitches 2, 2, 2. This is your center, and you'd put a stitch marker there. I'm going to start with a magic ring because that's how I like to do mine. Since I learned the magic ring, that's kind of how I start all of my projects in the round now. And it's not hard. Just lay the tail end of your yarn across your hand and then put the working that's attached to the ball. You know, it goes up into your ball. That's your working yarn. Just cross it over that one and make an X. And then if you don't want to use your hook yet, don't. Just take your hand, reach into your ring, and pull up a loop. Just have it be loose. Then grab your hook, put your hook on that loop, and just rearrange your hand so that you're working with your yarn like you normally would. So hold this, rearrange. I'm going to put that working yarn the way it goes in my hand, and then cinch up your circle a little bit. And then you would start with a chain 3, pull on your tail, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now hold your tail to the ring as you work, and then when you get to the end of this first row, you can cinch it shut very nice and tight. So 7 double crochets in the ring. This is how I hold my ring, so it's easier for me to work in it. I have this down here holding. I'm working against both of those. That's the tail, and the working yarn is over here. And then I hold it with my thumb up here so my tension doesn't get all crazy. So 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and if it gets to be a problem, 3 double crochet, I cinch my circle a bit, and then I keep working in it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I need 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now I'm going to cinch close. See, it closes it very nice. I like that a lot. So we have 8 double crochets at the end of our first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Divide 2, 2, 2, 2. This is the center, and we need to get a stitch marker so we never forget that. Since I'm going to be working on my desk, I'm going to use my pink one that is very quiet. Otherwise, I have these awesome stitch markers that if I wasn't working on my desk, I would be using. Let me grab them. I have some of these in my shop, but I made these as well, and I think I have some in my shop still. Little dragons. I think I still have some in my shop. If I don't, I'll restock them. That's what I will use when I'm not at my desk. But since I'm at my desk, when I use anything other than the super light silicone ones, it clangs on the desk, and I hate that. It drives me berserko. So these are silicone, and they have a tiny little nub on them. Boy, there we go. And then when you need to, you can close it like that. So in between all of your double crochets, you got 2, 2, 2, and 2 right here in the center. 4 on each side. I know my hands aren't crazy bad. They're not grand, but I was cleaning the pigeon loft and it always makes my hands rough. Okay, now we're going to move on to row 2. Row 2, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, turn. And we're going to put a double crochet in the same stitch as our chain 3. So right here, double crochet. And then these 2 stitches right here, from last row right here, we're going to put 2 double crochets in between them. Now we're going to look at our work. We just went in between these 2, so we're going to forget about them. We're going to look at our next 2 right there. We're going to go in between those 2 and put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Now we are to our center stitch, or space, I guess. We're going to take out our stitch marker and we're going to do 2 double crochets, we're going to chain 2 and put 2 more double crochets in that same space. That is the spine of our shawl. And we're going to put our stitch marker back so we don't forget it. And one time I was making a vest and I didn't have a stitch marker there, and I went back and forth on one side. One side was super long and the other side I didn't work on at all. I was in the car and I didn't pay attention. That was sad. Okay. So looking at your next 2 double crochets right there, we're going to put 2 double crochets in between them. So 1 and 2. Now we worked into that. We're in between those 2, so we're going to forget those 2. Now we're going to look at our last 2 that we have. We only have 2 left. So 2 double crochets in between them. 1 and 2. And now in our last stitch right here, we're going to put 2 more double crochets. Okay, let's take a look. So it looks like a teeny tiny shawl. Whatever you do on the first side of your shawl, once you get to the center and you do your center stitches, you're going to mimic what you did on the first side on the second side. So you're always going to mirror whatever you do on the first side, you will do on the second side. Your center stitch, you will always increase, always, always. Row 3, we're going to chain 3. We're going to put a double crochet in that same stitch or space as our chain 3. We're going to look at our work, and in between these first 2 of our last row, we're going to put 2 double crochets. 1, 2. Now we're going to forget about those 2 because we just worked in them. And now we're going to go on to the next 2 right there. We're going to go in between those 2 and put 2 double crochets. This yarn is amazing. Okay, so we did that. We're going to forget about them, go on to the next two and go in between those two and put 2 double crochets. Forget about those two, go into these two, in between, put 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Now we're to our center stitch, and in our center stitch we're going to increase always every row. I'm going to take that stitch marker out. We're going to put 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets in that same stitch. Replace your stitch marker. Go in between the next 2 double crochets, put 2 double crochet. Got a snag on the yarn there. I'm gonna pull back on that and fix that. I have a snag on my yarn, so I'm going to skip that. So go in between your next 2 double crochets right here and put 2 double crochets. Now if that didn't make sense what I just did, I will explain it to you. When I have a snag in my yarn and I'm working and I don't want to stop right now, I will pull the yarn out so that the snag is in the center and I can weave in these 2 ends, and then later I'll come and snip those off. Okay, forget those 2. In between these 2, 2 double crochet. I do that when there's a knot too, or whatever. Okay, we did them. Look at the next 2. Go in between those, put 2 double crochet. Oops. Okay, forget those 2. Look into these 2. 2 double crochet in between them. And then 2 double crochet in your last stitch there at the top of your chain 3 or your last double crochet. I'm going to put 2 double crochet in the top of them. Okay, let's look at our row 3. That is the start of our shawl. I'm going to pull the camera down. Working on row 4. We are switching these stitches up now. We're going to chain 4. We're going to turn our work, and in between these first 2 stitches here, we're going to do a cluster stitch right here. Yarn over. We're going to go into that space, we're going to yarn over, and we're going to pull up. We have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through 2 of those loops. Now we're going to yarn over. We're going to go in that space again. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull up. We have 4 loops on our hook now. We're going to yarn over and we're going to go through 2. One more time. We're going to yarn over, go into that space, yarn over and pull up. 5 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through 2. We now have 4 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and go through all 4, and then we're going to chain 1, and that is our cluster stitch for this patterning. So when I say cluster stitch, you know what I mean, because we just did it. So we're going to forget about these 2 double crochets because we already worked into them, right? We're going to go into our next 2 and we're going to do a cluster stitch in between that one and this one and this one and all the way down until we get to the center or spine of our shawl, and then I'll tell you what to do. So forgetting about these 2, going in between these next 2 right here, this set of double crochets, do a cluster stitch. So yarn over, go in the space, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go into the space, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go in the space, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through all 4, chain 1. See how pretty that is? Super pretty. Okay. Working in the next 2, in between the next 2, cluster stitch. Remember to give yourself some leniency when making these stitches. It makes it a lot easier. When you get 4 loops on your hook, after you've done your repetitions, pull through all 4, chain 1. Go in between the next 2, cluster stitch. I always work very loosely on my cluster stitches. Actually, this whole shawl, every time I make it, I do it very loosely. It's just more enjoyable for me that way. Okay, I have 2 more to go in between before I get to my spine of the shawl. Now at the center of the shawl, take your stitch marker out. We're going to do a cluster stitch. We're going to chain 2 and do another cluster stitch. Chain 1. Now going in between the next 2 stitches, cluster stitch, because whatever we do on the first part of our shawl, we do on the second part. Chain 1, go in between the next 2. Chain 1, in between the next 2, cluster stitch. Chain 1, I see my stitch marker laying here. I didn't put it back, did I? Oops. Between the next 2, a cluster stitch. Chain 1, in between the next 2. Chain 1, in between the last 2. Chain 1 and a double crochet in your last stitch. Because whatever we do on the first side, we do on the second side. The first side we did a chain 4 and that counted as a double crochet, chain 1. So we chained 1 after our cluster stitch and then put a double crochet in the last stitch. Turn it over so that part's not showing. Our straggler there. That is a row 4. See, it's already shaping up very nicely. On to row 5. Very easy so far. Nothing difficult. This row's even easier. So we're going to chain 1, turn your work. That chain 1 counts as a single crochet. In that same stitch or space as your chain 1, put a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 2. We're going to find our next chain 1 space right here. Not right here, right here. After this cluster stitch, we're going to put a single crochet. And we're going to chain 2. Going to go over to our next chain 1 space, and we're going to put a single crochet right here. Chain 2. Single crochet in between your clusters. Chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, or to the center, single crochet, chain 2, remove your stitch marker, single crochet again in the center. Center stitch for this row is single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Replace your marker. Chain 2, single crochet in between the next 2 clusters, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. At the end, chain 2, do not put a single crochet in between them. We're going to put 2 single crochets in our last stitch. Because whatever we do on the beginning of our shawl, we do on the end of our shawl. We just mirror it. We started with a chain 1 single crochet in that first stitch, so we want to end with 2 single crochet in that end stitch. That's the end of our row 5. Row 6, chain 3. Turn your work. Put a double crochet in that same stitch as your chain 3. Now we're going to put 2 double crochets in every chain 2 space we made last row. So do 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, 2 double crochets in the next chain 2 space, all the way to the center. Very easy. But not boring, especially when you're using a yarn like this. At the center space, remove the stitch marker, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Replace your stitch marker. Now 2 double crochet in each chain 2 space. When you get to the end of your row, 2 double crochet in your last stitch. I have to weave that in. It drives me crazy looking at it. That is the end of our row 6. So now what you will do for the entirety of the rest of your shawl is repeat rows 3 through 6. Row 3, we're going to chain 3. We're going to double crochet in that same stitch or space as our chain 3. Then we're going to put 2 double crochets in between those first 2 double crochets and in between each and every set of double crochets from this row. So chain 3. This is a repeat of our row 3, and that will say that in the pattern. And I have the section that you repeat for you to print out and just follow it instead of going back. You can just use the repeat page. Chain 3, turn, double crochet in that same chain 3 space. Looking at your work, you have 2 double crochets right here, and you're going to go in between those 2 and put 2 double crochets. That's an increase. That keeps our shawl going up. In between the next 2, 2 double crochet, and in between each set of double crochets all the way down to the center spine, 2 double crochets. When you're at the center, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Remove your stitch marker, place it in between your new spine stitches. In between your next 2 and all the way up, 2 double crochet. In between your last 2 and in the last stitch, 2 double crochets. That was a repeat of our row 3, so now we would repeat row 4. Row 4 is our cluster stitches, so you chain 4, turn your work. In between these first 2 double crochets, we do a cluster. remember to chain 1. Then remember to forget these 2 because you already worked in between them, and go into your next 2. Do a cluster stitch. And in between each set of double crochets, do a cluster till you get to your center, and then your center is cluster, chain 2, cluster. Then you're going to repeat it all the way back up. Once you get back up here, make sure you put a cluster in between your last 2 stitches, chain 1 after your cluster, and then put a double crochet in your last stitch. Your next row will be the single crochet row, where you chain 1, turn your work, put a single crochet in that same stitch or space, chain 2, and then you'll be working in between the cluster stitches like you did the first time we did it. So that is the repeat, row 3 through row 6. Whatever you did on row 3, do after row 6. So your row 3 is your row 7, your row 4 is your row 8, your row 5 is your row 9, but it's 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you get to 6, head back to 3. This is the written pattern. I don't have it on my website as of yet. So if you want to screenshot it, go ahead, but I will have to upload it, save it and upload it. Make sure everything is correct on it before I do that. But I have been using, it says I've been using this copy since May, and I have made a lot of them, so I don't think there's any errors in it at all, but I'll double, triple check, and then I'll upload it to my website so you can follow along. Repeat row 3 through 6 over and over and over until you get to the size that you want, or you run out of yarn if you don't want to do an edging. If you want to save yarn for edging, reserve some, depending on how large your shawl is at that point. I can't tell you how much. Just use your own judgment. Otherwise, if you have another contrasting or complementary yarn to what you're using, maybe use that for your edging. And then I'll show you how to do the beads. So I'm going to keep working on my shawl. You keep working on yours. I'll be back in a while and we'll finish this up. Oh, forgot one thing. So I'm going to pull these stitches back. And if you want to check to make sure that you are even on your shawl at any time, this is one of my tricks that I use. So fold it over perfectly corner to corner. Find your center stitch. Then feel and look and see. Double crochets are here at the end. Then I have my starter V's. Then I have my V's, 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 V's. Oop, I lost track. There we go. V's, V's, and then once you get to your center stitch, you'll have your center V's in your chain 2. So if you're always lining up your work side to side, making sure everything matches all the way down, two and two, 2 and 2. Then we move on. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. There we go. 2, 2, 2, and then the center. If you're off at any time, you can always rip back, fix it. It's just way easier if you do that. Just check every once in a while on your V rows or your cluster stitch rows, ones that are easy to get into. The single crochet rows are harder to match up and figure out. So I recommend either one of your double crochet rows or your cluster stitch row to make sure that you're on track with stitches. So I'll see you in a little bit. If you do not want to add beads, keep working your shawl. Do not detach your yarn at any point. When it gets to the beading part, just forget everything about beads that I'm telling you and just work normally, as if I'm not talking about beads. So when I tell you to put a bead up close, just ignore that and then chain one and then keep doing what you're doing. So if you're not adding beads, ignore everything that I talk about regarding beads. Okay, it is time to talk about beads. So my shawl is ready to edge. I have 1/2 ounce of yarn reserved for my edging. It's a little over 1/2 ounce. This much of the cake. I feel like it's enough. I guess I will find out. I didn't put beads on any other of my shawls, so I didn't detach the yarn. So this will be a first for me as far as this shawl. I've done it in the past, years and years ago, but this is the first shawl that I will be edging with detaching the yarn. So my color that I have detached is all one color. If you're using a gradient yarn and you have a problem with it transitioning when you're doing the beads, think about that. I didn't mention that before. So in front of you is a container of beads. This is just random beads I own. They are all round and they're all similar. There are some that are thinner as far as threading them. So the reason why I called the shawl the Dragon Bloodstone shawl is because of Dragon Bloodstone beads. Which are these beautiful stones that I picked up at Michael's. They sell them at Hobby Lobby as well. Probably Joann, I don't know. But I get them at Michael's and Hobby Lobby. These are going to go on my other medley shawl that I did not show you because I had started it after the fact. But those are too small to put on your yarn. So this is what I have in front of me. Those are special, so they're only going on one shawl. They're not cheap beads. I am putting some, I believe these are Walmart beads. They're either Walmart or they're like Michael's beads, the white ones. I think they're Walmart, to be honest. They have a larger hole, see? This is a beading needle and it is very thin. You put your yarn through the center. The center is a very large opening. You put your yarn through that. And then when you do your beads, you just slide them on the beading needle and then slip them down onto the yarn. If you don't have beading needles, that's okay. You don't need them. You make sure that your end is not all frayed out. Typically you could dip it in water and then make sure you can put it in your mouth. You can use fingernail polish, let it dry, make sure that it's in a point, let it dry. You can use glue, let it dry, and then the beads will slip onto it more easily. In the past I've used tape, so let's see if tape will work. So just Scotch tape that you would use, you know, to wrap presents or whatever. If you take a bit of that, wrap it around the end. Minimally, you know, you don't want a lot on here because then your bead isn't going to go through. Then you would cut the end off. Flatten that down. And then your bead should go on easier because it gives you a harder surface to poke the yarn through. So that's what you do. You just slide it on the project, as many beads as you want. I counted my row 5, so each chain 2 space. I have 52 on either side of my shawl and then the center. So 52, 52, and then the center, I threaded 120. I know that's too many. but I plan on doing a bead on every chain 2 space. So I need at least minimum of 104 for the sides and then center. So I'm looking at least, I want to say minimum 110. I just threaded 120. Since I have so many of these, if I don't use them, I can just stick them back in my container. So the other beads that are too small and you can't put them on your yarn, you can use invisible thread. I found that to be a pain in the arm because this is a little bit elastic and it also pulls through the yarn, and so it ended up hanging on the project in a really weird way. I didn't like it. I didn't like using it. It wasn't pleasurable at all. So I came up with an idea with my dragon bloodstones to take some jewelry findings, and these, you know, you can find these at Hobby Lobby or wherever. Take the bead that is too small to put on your yarn, and this is one that I got on Amazon. You slide that down on it. If you have jewelry pliers with round ends, this works really well. So you just take it and then you turn it and keep turning it. Until you get it down to the bead. Then you have something that you can thread onto your yarn. The one problem I have with this is sometimes this end will catch on your yarn and it becomes an issue. So you can also add a jewelry finding in one of the jump rings, and then you just slide it through this when you're threading it on your yarn. These are all options. And then the other option, of course, is you could just buy gems that you purchase at Hobby Lobby that have lobster claw clasps, and you can just attach them wherever you want, and then they're detachable if you want to wash your shawl in the machine. So I have my beads threaded. I'm going to start the edging of my shawl now. So you pause, take time to add beads if you want, and then I'll meet back up with you in just a second. Okay, so attach your yarn on either corner. They're both the same. Shawl is reversible. You have 2 single crochets in either corner. So attach to your first single crochet. If you want to do a single crochet edging on the top of your shawl, you sure can, but I have that beautiful gradient, so I am not going to do that. With your beads, you can pull up a few at a time, and that makes it easier for you to work them. And then your working yarn doesn't get too heavy if you only have a couple up there. So attaching to the corner, chain 1 to secure, put a single crochet in that same stitch or space, and put a single crochet in the next single crochet. And now I'm going to show you how to work the bead. So the stitches for the bead will be whenever you want to add a bead, and then I will show you, if you don't have enough beads, how I filled in for other spaces. So in your next chain 2 space, do a half double crochet. So yarn over, go into the stitch or space, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through all 3. That's a half double crochet. Yarn over, go into the stitch or space, yarn over, pull up. Now we're doing a double. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. That's a double crochet. Now we're going to pull our bead up real close to our hook up here, just like that, and we're going to chain 1. We want it as tight as possible to our bead. And we're going to go back down into that chain 2 space and do a double crochet, and then do a half double crochet. And then in between each of our chain 2 spaces, we always have a single crochet. So put a single crochet in that single crochet. Now that is what it's going to look like when you add a bead. If you don't want to add a bead, say you don't have enough beads to go into every chain 2 space on your shawl and you want to space them out, this is how I did it. I did 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space. And then a single crochet in your next single crochet. And then if you want another space, do 2 single crochets. And that will space you out in between your bead sections, if you will. The big twist shawl that I did, how I did the edging on that was I started with 2 single crochets. I did not put a single crochet in the single crochet, but in each chain 2 space I put 1 single crochet, chain 2, and another single crochet. That's how I did the edging on that shawl. So I'm going to pull back, and each one I'm going to do a bead in as long as I have enough yarn. If I don't have enough yarn, I'll probably rip it back and redo and space it out like I was talking about. I will come back to you when I am to the spine of the shawl, so we can talk about what to do for that. But until then, just do exactly what I just did on that first one, and I'll walk you through the next one since I have been talking on this one. And quite honestly, if you have an edging that you want to do on the shawl, go ahead. I mean, this shawl is yours. You do whatever you want. Okay, single crochet in the single crochet stitch. Okay, so each chain 2 space, if you want to add a bead, do a half double crochet, a double crochet, bring your bead up real close to your hook, chain 1, double crochet, half double crochet, single crochet in the single crochet. And it will look just like that if you're going to put a bead in each chain 2 space. And it looks the same on both sides. So okay, so I'm going to work on my shawl, you work on your shawl. I'll be back to you in just a moment to show you the center stitches. Okay, so when you get to the center stitch, this is how I'm going to do mine. I'm going to put a single crochet in the single crochet right here, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet like we've been doing. Then I'm going to do a double crochet like we've been doing, and then I'm going to do a treble crochet. So you yarn over your hook twice, go into the same stitch or space, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Then I'm going to grab that bead. I'm going to pull it real close to my hook again. I'm going to chain 1, nice and tight. And I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to do a treble, so yarn over your hook twice, go into the space, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, go through 2, go through 2, go through 2. Then a double, then a half double, and I'm going to finish with a single crochet in that single crochet. And that is going to be the center of the shawl. If you want to keep doing like you've been doing it, you can do that there as well. I just thought it would be nice to kind of highlight the center and put a little something different there. So I'm going to continue with the other side of my shawl now, doing each chain 2 space just like this. I'm going to get up to the end of the shawl and put a single crochet in each of the last 2. You end with 2 single crochets. So I'm going to do single crochet, after I put my bead here. And then we'll have final thoughts on the shawl. So see you in a minute. So I have, a lot left of the shawl. This is the end. I have all of that to do. So I have lost yarn chicken. This is all the yarn I have left. I am going to rip out the other half of my shawl, which is already done, sadly. You can see the beautiful beads over here. I'm going to put some spacers in between it, maybe every, I don't know, 6. I don't need a lot of yarn, but I do need enough to finish. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but I gotta do it. So I will show you what I did when I'm finally made it around to the other side. So see you in a minute. So it is done. I have taken several pictures to show the shawl in, I don't know, maybe I'll attach it to the end of the video, the different ways I styled it on my mannequin. So I have it tied around the neck. Let me move this over a bit. I have it tied around the neck, like around the shoulder area, because I thought that looked cool. I like that a lot, just to get the chill off of you. Obviously, if you have arms, it would have to be loosened a little bit, but I thought that looked nice. So the edging I spaced every, oh my gosh, what did I do? Every other, it looks like I did. Every other one on this one. So I'm probably going to take this off my mannequin and put it over on the desk and lay it out so that you can see it better. The edge anyway. I think you can see the shawl better on the mannequin, but if I lay it against the desk, I think you'll be able to see what I did with the edging better. Sorry for all the jiggly. The shawl itself looks much better on the mannequin than it does on my desk. But I will pop pictures up at the end so that you can see it laid out on the table and whatnot. I love this yarn so much. I love the beadwork. It is so pretty, so very pretty. And to take these beads that are like Walmart cheap beads, it brings a classiness to the shawl that I love. Okay, let me take you to the table now. There we go. See, you can see the edging way better on my desk. I love this. I love this effect so much. I think it is so gorgeous. Love it, love it. I have beads to add to my other shawl that I have not shown you. It is in the green Premier Anti-Pilling yarn. It is Everyday Medley, and this one is discontinued. The Everyday Medley is gone, and I'm sad because I really liked this yarn a lot. I mean, I do still really like the yarn a lot, but I can't buy it anymore. I did purchase a ton of it when it was going on clearance. So this is the green. This is the one that I purchased to go with the beads, the Dragon Bloodstone beads. What is the color? Forest. So let me pull that one over here. I need to weave in my ends. I need to attach the beads because I have not done that as of yet. But I did change the edge on that one just a smidge to accommodate for the beads. I decided that I probably would do lobster claw clasp on these and then just remove them. But this is it. As you can see, I did 3 space rows in between where I'm going to attach the beads. And the beads are, they're dragon bloodstones. I showed you how to do that on this tutorial. And then I'm going to add a spacer and then a lobster claw clasp and put them on each one that I have made bumped out here. So I think that's going to be super pretty. So I'm going to do that. I will show you a picture at the end of this video when I close it out. A couple of pictures of the shawl with the beads like this on it, because this is the one I did in the tutorial, and I love this yarn. I love this yarn so much. I need more. They're out currently of almost all colors, but I have faith they will get more in, because I know Premier and they will. So I can't wait to get more of this yarn. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So take care, guys. I appreciate you watching. This pattern will be available on my website, and you can download it there. If there is a problem at all, contact me and let me know. Thank you. Take care. Until next time, guys. Bye.